Can you guys see me? I'm texting Dave if you can see me because it says it's not publishing to the channel. It says there's a problem, so hang on. I'm really happy to see you. I'm waving back at you. It says it's not working. And part of me is like, forget it. If you can see me, then we're great. So let's just go and do it. Okay, well, so Dave will come in a second. It just said it wasn't. It says your stream has been created, but we can't publish it in your channel. Do I need to worry about that? It's okay? Okay, well, okay. I'm going to move on. Hi, welcome to Soul Shift 1 for May. I'm your host, and I'm very happy to see you. We have a chock full situation today. Is it fibbing to me, Michelle Miller? It probably is. They can see me, but it says that your stream has been created, but we can't publish it to your channel. They can see you.
Hi. Can I
I know,
for a
yeah.
second?
Here, you go in there.
Nope.
Nope, okay. Knock it out of your way. Tech support is here. I think it looks good.
But they can see you.
Yeah. Did you see the feed?
Yeah, so what's the problem?
I just showed you that dialogue box. It
Yeah,
said
but they can see you.
No, that's what I told you. We're live and they can see you and they can see me, but you said you wanted to get in there and see that, so that's what I was showing you.
Oh.
It says it's not publishing it to the channel.
But you can see us.
Babe, that's what I just told you, and they've been saying hi to you the whole time.
So then why did you call tech support?
Because it said it wasn't publishing it to the... Can you go now?
Barbara, out.
Alexis. It is recording. It is. He is cute. You got to see him. Okay. It is going to save. Don't worry. Okay, so it's 80,000 degrees in this room where I'm sitting right now. Apparently our air conditioning is getting fixed tomorrow. I'm really happy to see you. So we have, as I was saying before tech support arrived, we have a full night tonight, a lot to get through. I have a lot to share with you. I'm super excited. A lot of really deep teaching tonight. And we're going to talk about why these are so important. And then I'm going to give this pair of them away tonight. So I'm really excited. Aw, we really do miss you, Alexis. So I have a fun giveaway. This is the last of what I call Lemurian headphones, which are these huge, and beautiful ammonites. This particular pair is from Madagascar, and for some reason, this particular place, they crystallize in these colors of like pink and purple. And then on this one, there's this really interesting formation of a little X on it. But it literally is translucent, the pink on these ammonites. And so I call them Lemurian headphones because if you use them like this and you put them next to your ear, you can really hear stuff. It's almost creepy. So I had them a while back. This is actually the last pair. This is the last pair of the ones that we had. We don't have any more in the entire inventory. And I didn't see them this year. I didn't get any of them this year at Tucson or Denver. So anyway, somebody tonight's going to get the last piece of Lemurian headphones. They're happening tonight. Yeah, kind of. It's like echoey a little bit. It is kind of like the ocean, or I don't know how you would describe the sound, but it's just really, it helps you drop into kind of a cool meditation. It's one of my favorite meditation tools. So I'm really excited to give that pair away. I know it's going to go to a really good home tonight. Okay. So on our agenda tonight, the one thing I don't have, because I moved a lot of stuff out of here and I moved out my bell too. So let's just pretend that I'm ringing my bell. Ready? Ding, ding, ding. Maybe I will use Our bell has rung. Traditionally, I ring my real bell. I'll get it back. I just had to move stuff around. There's so much Sage Goddess in my house right now because I'm teaching from the house and I normally don't. So I've had to kind of really work on getting organized because it's just like everything is everywhere. So cheers. Class has begun. Did you ring it for me, Scarlett? I love that. Thank you for that. Dinner's ready. I know. Your intellectual dinner is ready. Tonight we're going to be going through your worksheets, which if you got through them all, great. If you didn't, you can actually do them along with me, which might be kind of fun. This isn't the kind of class where if you didn't do your homework, you shouldn't come to class. You know what I mean? Like I taught classes like that because I used to teach university. And I used to tell my students, if you didn't do your homework, don't come to class. Because then you're not going to do it anyway. It's not going to benefit you. But in a case like this, if you didn't do your homework, you should come to class because you can do your homework with me. And I think that's just as good. So we're going to be going through the 12 steps of acknowledgement, step 2 tonight, which is aligned to Taurus. And we're going to talk about that step of the acknowledgement process, which again is our introduction to shadow work. We started last month with Aries, if you recall. We started with I face it, and tonight we're stepping into the second phase, which is I own it. Yeah, so just follow along. You don't have to have completed your worksheets. In fact, it might be kind of fun for you to experience them the first time with me, and then go back and look at them later. Actually, if I was in the class, it's probably what I would do. Okay, good. And then the next one is grounding and embodiment. There's big insight in here for you. The next one is we're going to talk about the symbol, which is your transformation symbol. And then lastly, we're going to be talking about the Fibonacci sequence, the golden mean, and how all of that relates to manifestation. I have a second giveaway. So there's 2 giveaways for you guys. Because one of them is related to your coursework. This one is just a little surprise. So yesterday I did meditation on 5/5, and I charged some different items for different reasons and different intentions. And so I had these 2. This is one of those double term pyrite points that we had on the website a couple days ago. And then these are the double term citrines that we had on the website a couple of days ago. So I held these in meditation yesterday on 5/5 and set the intention that these would support one of you. So I'm going to mail the duo of these off to one of you. And then I'll also be mailing off the duo of the Ammonite headphones for you. Kind of fun, right? So anyway, I was just, yesterday I was really thinking about Soul Shift. I went live. If you didn't see it, it's okay. But I went live in the evening, like as the sun was starting to set. And it was just this really peaceful, like, let's just be together on 5/5. So thank you to those of you who were there. I hope it was helpful to you. I hope it helped you kind of crystallize in your mind what you're trying to manifest. It did that for me, which is really helpful. And this year I'm manifesting less for myself, I think, and trying to really hold prosperity for the planet. Because from my perspective, it's never been more clear that individual prosperity doesn't really matter if the collective is not benefiting. Do you know what I mean? Like, for me, that's kind of like the medicine of this whole situation that we're going through right now is, right? If we don't all get through it, like we need to all get through it. So holding that space for the collective is really important. All right, you guys. All right, well, so we had no time to waste tonight. And then we're going to so we'll talk about your symbol. Then we're going to dedicate our tools, and we're going to make perfume tonight. Here's my altar so far. If you have a mala, I never fully know where class is going to go. I have an intention, and some ideas, but I never fully know where it's going to go. But I am going to be teaching you the rest of the seed mantras tonight, because you really liked it when we did the Yam challenge. And so I think we're going to pick a seed mantra for this month, because I don't know about you, I felt better when we were doing it. I feel fine now, but I consciously felt a little bit more peaceful when we were doing the Yam challenge. If it didn't make a difference for you, you know what I mean? Don't feel like, oh, now I'm committed to having to do this other thing. But I enjoyed it. I felt better. I felt kind of a little bit more plugged in. And it gave me kind of like it was like a touchstone, or like a point of connection that I found very valuable. Did you too? I just really liked it. And I think I didn't realize how much I liked it until we stopped. And then I was like, I think I really liked that. Yeah, so don't worry. If you don't have your tools tonight, just be with us and do what you can, and then everything will be ready for you when it's ready. So we'll talk about the other seed mantras, and maybe we can choose one that feels good. So if you have a mala in your collection, maybe grab that tonight and just have it here in case we decide to do that. And so I've got my smudging tools. We're going to be, all we have tonight, because the rest of the tools are coming from other parts of the world. So what we have to dedicate tonight are the herbs, right, which is your wood betony and your nettle leaf. We have your face jewels, and we have your flash tattoos. The flash tattoos, by the way, are designed. We're gonna dress up on the 4th session. So our crafting this month is actually on our bodies. We're gonna dress up. We're gonna do henna. We can bring some wine or some champagne or something, hot tea or whatever to session 4. So we are going to be adorning ourselves for session 4, and our art is going to be on our bodies this month. So part of what's coming with the second set of your tools toward the end of the month before session 4 is a tube of henna. And then these are, Gabriel designed these. So he took Ishtar's symbols, which are the stars. There's a star of Ishtar and the pine cones, so this is Ishtar's star, and just kind of riffed on it, her wings, right? And then you've got, I love this one. This is going to be a new shoulder piece for me. I think I'm going to let this be what I always have on my right shoulder. Isn't it beautiful with the moon phases? So that was part of your kit this month. And then these are kind of fun. These are actually really great. And you don't have to wait for me. I mean, if you decide, I put these in your kit because I wanted you to feel sexy and beautiful and like powerful this month. So if you decide you want to use these before, one thing I will tell you about these are reusable. So after you're done with these, they have such good stickum on the back, such good adhesive, that after you're done with these, take them off your eyes, and I put them on my mirror in my bathroom, and then when you're ready you can pop them back on. And I like these because it shows you where to put them. Sometimes the one they show under the eye, you can kind of flip it and put it at the corner of the eye is pretty too. And then you can also cut these. You don't have to keep it as one piece. So you could just do the big diamond at your third eye or something like that, and use some and save some, and the adhesive is really good. So we source these. I'm in love with these. And then the rest of your tools look like, so you've got your candle, you have your oils, which is cedarwood and gardenia. That's what we're going to be blending tonight. Your carrier is pomegranate oil. And then you have your bottle. This was your gift in this month's kit. We have these custom made just for the kit. Aren't they pretty? It felt like Ishtar to me because her colors are green and red and gold and all of these really vibrant colors. So this felt very seductive and sexy and like Ishtar. And if you put a perfume in here that's because you can see through, if you put a perfume in there that's a little bit darker, you'll actually be able to see that color. And then you got a full-size bottle of snake perfume in your kit this month. Snake is labdanum and allspice and cardamom. Again, it's very sexy, very earthy. And then this month I couldn't do a full embodiment kit for Ishtar, but just to let you know, I did make a bottle of perfume. We had an Ishtar blend eons ago. I decided to remake it. It'll be in the shop on Friday if you want it. And I used a brand new form of mushroom. It's called Mushroom Absolute. And I've been working with it just by anointing my third eye with it each day. It's insane. I've never used Mushroom Absolute in a perfume before. So that is Ishtar. And so if you didn't get the kit this month, but you wanted something to kind of connect with her energy, you can get just the perfume. If you got the kit, but you want Ishtar, you can get it separately too. So either way, it's kind of a nice way to work with the energy of Ishtar if you didn't get tools. And I was able to make probably enough bottles for maybe a fifth of Soul Shift to have it if you want it. So you definitely don't have to have it. It's very, very, very optional. But I thought it was kind of fun to put Mushroom Absolute in a perfume. And I had to import it from France. And it smells like the earth. That's the only way I can describe it. It's very earthy, and I've never used it before, so I'm super excited about it. Ishtar is pretty neat. Okay. So those are all the tools that we're going to be dedicating tonight, and we will go through and dedicate those. And then what's still coming is, of course, your pillar, which you haven't gotten yet. So that is coming separately, and your tools for Crystal Masters are coming separately too. Yeah, I've been thinking about it. I mean, we were doing it for a little while. Remember, we had Danu perfume, a little dram, or we had Freya. We had Danu, Freya, and then we had one for Parvati. And then last month, it was like the world got weird, and it just was really hard, and I couldn't get organized enough to make one. And then this month, I was like, Ishtar, we kind of have to do something for Ishtar. She's about embodiment, right? And so it's like scent can really help you to feel what that energy is like. So I was able to take the time and find the space and import the ingredients to make that. And then if you want it going forward, I don't know that I'll make a full kit every month, but maybe just something, to help you connect to the energy of the goddess. You want one for Thoth? Jason Burgess said, I kind of want that too. Except talk about intimidating, like, hey, make a perfume for Thoth. For the father of communication, for the entire planet. Like, ready, go. I mean, kind of where do you start? That's like the ultimate throat chakra, right? It's the ultimate throat chakra blend. Let me feel into that. I'll tell you something. I would have to import something really crazy for that, for it to feel good enough. You know what I mean? Because that's such a intimidating energy stream. I would have to really feel like I nailed that one, or he'll be mad. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you made for me, right? I don't know that I ever did Thoth before. If I did, it wasn't like where I am now, which is a little bit on a different level. Did I do Thoth in a Sab kit? I can't remember. Yeah, it needs to happen. I don't know. We'll see. I'm kind of up for the challenge, and then I'm also intimidated. It was like making, Mother Mary perfume or Jesus perfume, which I've done. It's like, and they're good because I tried to be accurate to the historiography of the region, but still, it's like, woo, I don't know. Yeah, there may have been a Thoth. Yeah, kind of cool, right? Okay. So we'll dedicate our tools, and then we'll pretend to ring the bell again. Scarlett can ring the bell for me again, and then class will be complete. And like I said, if there's time, I'd love to do a little journey tonight, or I'd love to do a 108 bead mala mantra recitation. So we'll see, because I kind of feel like tonight we should do something that's embodied. It shouldn't just be, tonight usually is a very intellectual class. And my writing on this month is deep. I've started on May. I'm finishing April, by the way. So your April worksheets will be in your April classroom by the end of this week. So you'll have to go back to the April classroom to get those. These worksheets will be in your May classroom by the end of May. And the worksheets, just in case you want to know what I'm referencing now, I'm working on the book, 4 Pillars of Priestessing. And I'm basically giving you guys, sorry, the allergies, my throat's dry. I'm giving you guys the advanced copy, basically. I'm writing part of the book and posting it in your classroom as a gift each month. So the writing about this month's pillar, which is embodiment and grounding and transformation, will be in your classroom at the end of May. Yeah, Debbie says she's down for a journey. I think there's just one crystal in your candle this month. I think there might be one in the bottom and one on top. Okay, yeah, so have your mala just in case. So let's get started. I'm going to dive right in because there's a lot of meat on this bone tonight, and I don't want to waste any time. But if you have any questions as we go, please ask. And yeah, those are my birds outside. They have nests in my favorite tree. I saw their nest the other day. I'm like, that's why you guys are in there all the time. Yeah, so Alexis can help you if you're looking for the previous notes from the book. She will help you find those. I'm so glad you guys are here. Okay, so we're going to dive right in. I'm going to start with the grounding and embodiment piece. And then we'll go into manifestation. This month is really important for manifestation. And I know that the timing is, and we're really just getting started. So if you just got here, don't worry at all. You're right on time. I know that it feels weird to be manifesting right now because the world is in a strange place. We're all kind of in these unique holding patterns, and how much of a holding pattern you're in seems to really depend on where you live. In Los Angeles, California, we're in a big holding pattern, right? Because we're such a big state and so condensely packed. So it feels like a weird time to be manifesting. And it also feels like, for me, what I've been feeling is it feels weird to want to manifest for me right now when I feel like what I really want to do is hold space for the collective. And I've even had to be reminding myself, you can do both at the same time. You can call in and manifest for yourself and still be calling in and manifesting for the collective. It's not mutually exclusive. It's not like if I'm going to manifest for me, I can't manifest for you, or vice versa. And in fact, it's kind of, it enhances the energy of your own personal manifestation when you include others in that work too. So as I talk about manifestation tonight, I'm not just talking about your personal manifestation. I'm also talking about what we are trying to manifest for the collective. Yeah, I mean, apparently we are open here in LA as of next Friday, which will be really nice from a sage goddess perspective, but odd from a what's happening, what's that going to look like perspective. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, okay, all right. So here we go. So let me start by walking you through the worksheet. This month our theme is embodying your wisdom. And embodiment is critical to manifestation. I'm going to read this part to you because I really want you to hear it, especially if you didn't see the worksheet yet, or even if you did, it bears repeating. What I'm about to share with you, in my opinion, is not only some of the most important teaching you'll get all year in this class, really, truly. That's why I'm doubling down on it right now, because I really want you to hear it. But it's also some of the most important teaching for this particular time, because I have found myself doing what I'm about to tell you. And I've had to stop myself and go, you're checking out. You can't check out. And so hopefully when I share this with you, if you're noticing yourself checking out too, you can stop yourself and say, I can't check out. You know what I mean? I got to stay here. I got to stay focused. I have to stay embodied. I have to stay where I am. Because you'll hear why as we read through in just a second. Embodiment is critical to manifestation. When you leave, quote unquote, or energetically detach, you are not empowered. So what we do, and I'm super guilty of this, I've done it plenty of times. What we do when things get hard and we can't run away is we pull out energetically, right? So your body is there, your stuff is there, people can see you talking, people can see, but it's like your head, your heart, your mind, everything is already somewhere else, right? And I find myself sometimes like, okay, I'm checking out, I'm detaching. But you can't manifest when you do that. It's really hard to manifest if you are energetically detached, if you're half here and half there. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I thought this teaching for this month is so pivotal, because if there's ever going to be a time where you're triggered to want to check out, this might be it. I mean, we're going through one of the hardest things that we've ever gone through as a collective society. You know what I mean? No matter what you think. I mean, some people don't think the virus is real or that it's harmful at all. Some people think like this is the end of the world. It doesn't really matter where you are in that spectrum. I'm not judging. You can have whatever view you want. But humanity has never been sort of mutually challenged this way at one time before. Does that make sense? So embodiment, the literal definition of embodiment is being in your body, right? It's being inside your body. And the reason we're talking about that, it's good to probably define that term too. Empaths are not good at this. Empaths are not good at being in their body. In fact, empaths, like the goal for most empaths is to not be in our body, right? We like to be floaty. We like to be in our upper chakras. We like to be, right? Here, there, and everywhere. We like to be between dimensions. We like to be between realities. You know what I mean? So we like that. But the problem is you can't do anything. You can't make stuff happen. And this is why a lot of empaths have a lot of unfulfilled dreams. They might be very happy, but they may not have material achievements or prosperity or solid relationships. You know what I mean? They find themselves in these kind of cycles. You know what I mean? And I have a lot of compassion, because if I was to follow my natural instincts, I wouldn't be embodied very much either. But I learned this early on, and that's why I've been able to practice it. It's not my favorite thing. Like when I have to go, okay, it's embodiment time. I gotta get back in this thing, this thing. I have to get in here. I've got to work from here. I've got to ground my energy. I can't just be, you know, a floaty fairy. I have to actually get in my body and be on this planet. And I have to take care of this body. I can't just feed it whatever junk, you know. I have to really be thinking about what I'm eating, because what I eat affects my ability to become embodied, right? And my body processes energy differently when I'm eating in a healthy, good way, as opposed to, you know, the stuff that honestly I want to eat when I'm stressed out or processing too much energy, right? So when I start feeling anxiety, like sometimes I can almost feel myself leaving my body, like, get me out of here, right? But the challenges and the irony is, those are the exact moments when you got to get back in, and you have to be in this vehicle and doing this work in a physical way, right? Whew. And the breathing helps, Nancy Keatley, right? Like the breathing helps. Were you guys live when I talked about the chakras the other day? That was sort of a mic drop moment. We are making a meme. Alexis is working on the meme right now to reflect that teaching. But it really explains how the chakras work, and it explains how energy flows in your body, and kind of the obstacles that we all face, depending on where we have blockages in the energy system. I hear you. Okay, so when energy isn't grounded, and I've told you this before, you can't harness it. You can't manifest with it. Grounding is the main challenge for energy workers and empaths. The tendency for most people doing spiritual work is to disconnect from the body. This was day before yesterday, the live. I just came randomly on in the afternoon, and I ended up doing this whole hour-long treatise on the chakras for you guys, so you can go back and watch that later. Okay, so the tendency for most people doing spiritual work is to disconnect from the body and escape into the mental realm and upper chakras. We don't realize we're avoiding our real work because we're busy doing other spiritual things that we call work. Spirituality is not separate from our human experience. It is our human experience. Spiritual bypass can feel great, filled with beams of love and light and a sense of floating above it all, but everything comes online when you're in, not out. It takes some real courage to stay present with and for yourself, but it's worth it. Right? It's a good one. You guys should go back and watch it. Being grounded and in your body is sexy, right? One of the best ways to get grounded instantly, if you feel ungrounded, is to have an orgasm, because you have to be in your body to have one. And people who tell me they have a really hard time with orgasm, usually it's because they're not embodied. You got to be in your body to have that experience. It is a fully embodied experience. You feel more, receive more, and attract more of what you want. If you want to successfully run and utilize energy, you need to stay connected with your sexuality. You don't have to express it in an act of sex, but it is a core part of your life force. Manifestation requires you to stay energetically turned on. You got to turn your oven on, right? Okay, great. So Alexis just pinned that live as an announcement in the Facebook group. So if you missed it, you can go back and watch it. Okay, so here we go. Ready? This is the core of it. So when do you avoid yourself? And when do you avoid the world around you? Is it when you're hurt? When someone upsets you? Maybe when you're afraid? There's nothing wrong with running away sometimes. In fact, that can be the kindest thing when you're overwhelmed. So when you are really overwhelmed, one of the best things you can do is say, I need a break. You know, my old mantra of, I need a minute. That's the best thing you can do when you are really overwhelmed, is to literally put yourself in something of an energetic timeout and take a minute. Because if you don't take those intentional pauses sometimes, then you become in like a reaction mode, which isn't, you're not going to speak from your highest and strongest good when you're in reaction mode, right? And I get this too. And keep in mind, some of this is astrological, right? I mean, the fire signs tend to have a fight or flight response, right? The water signs tend to retreat, you know. The air signs tend to overthink things, so they seem like they stay engaged, but they're really not. They're off somewhere else, right? And the earth signs, you know, tend to shut down and wall up rather than, you know, so maybe they may not check out, but they shut down, and so they become like a wall against the energy. So it says, what we're aiming at here is the practice of getting and staying grounded more often. It doesn't have to be all the time. That's not reasonable or doable. But the more you do it, the better you'll get at it, and it will serve you well. Right? Ding, ding, ding. This is Karen Brown. And I think this conversation is really important because it's not one that I see people have a lot. And I try to have those conversations with you that I don't see or hear people having about, hey, when I get upset or stressed out or anxious or afraid, I check out. And I've noticed that I also, stop feeling connected to my body. And I also have noticed that I don't really manifest anything when that's happening. Is there a connection between all of those things? And it's like, yeah, because you have to be energetically present to make this work, to make your relationship work, to make your profession work, to make your spiritual transformation work. You got to be present. And so if you're checking out all the time, there's no way there's nobody driving that bus. It's on cruise control. And what happens to things on cruise control? Somebody else is navigating. So you might say, well, shit, I've been wanting to open a store for 5 years. And now now I'm thinking maybe that's why, or I've been wanting to find a new relationship, but, right? Yeah. And loss, like Lori said, I lost my husband, son, and 2 precious fur babies. Ever since I escape the world and go in my head and upper chakras a lot. And I will tell you something. First of all, I would never judge you for that, because grief is one of the most common forces that leads to this outcome. People are like, I've had enough. I'm going to live in my head now, and it's like, no one can blame you for that. But there is real power in becoming aware of it. And then seeing if, like it says on the worksheet, you don't have to live in your body all the time. In fact, it's not good. People who are depressed, really depressed, tend to be very, very, very grounded and embodied. So it's not like the goal is to be completely grounded and embodied, because despair can actually come from not having any of the upper chakra stuff. Just feeling like this is all there is. I'm in my body. I'm going to work. I'm putting my shoes on. you know what I mean? Like, those people are grounded and they're embodied and they're really unhappy, because you have to have a balance. It can't be all in your body all the time, but it also can't be just living on fumes in the ethers either. Yeah. Yeah, no, I will, before we make our perfume, I'll smudge you. I smudged before the reading, so that's why I'm not feeling quick on the smudge uptake. Yeah, Sheree says, I overthink things way too much. I really try, but it's so embedded in my nature as a Libra and as a therapist and a reader, right? I mean, in a way, it's kind of your job to overthink it. Like, I have a friend who's an analyst, right? And she's always like, geez, Athena, like, I can't even stand myself sometimes. I have to literally think about something for a week before I can even, like, say what I think about it. And I'm always telling her, like, that's your job. You know what I mean? Like, you can't beat yourself up if something's your job. But it doesn't mean that you can't also have awareness about it. Like, this is what I do for a living, but I also need to become aware that I can fall into some patterns. And so I need to still balance it, right? Even if that's literally why you're here or what you get paid to do on this planet or whatever else. Okay, so the questions, if you want to fill them out, and you can do it later or now if you want. The questions are, what is your real work? Your real work, not what you say you're here to do as a bypass. Like, what's your real work here? What I said is, my real work is to address solitude versus loneliness. That's part of my real, like, sticky work. Because, as I was saying during our readings today, I know for sure that I'm here on this planet to spend a lot of my time in solitude. because that's how I learn, that's how I grow, that's how I connect with my spirit guides, that's how, right? And I like it for the most part. But there are times where I feel lonely. And loneliness and solitude are different. I gather energy and wisdom and information and insight from being in solitude, but I don't have to feel lonely. That solitude is a condition, loneliness is a choice. Right, Rose Domain? Solitude is a condition, loneliness is a choice. Solitude can be a blessing, right? A lot of us are like, would pay $5 for some solitude right now because we've been with other humans for going on 7 weeks, right? Okay, and then the other question is, what keeps you from doing your real work? And do you know what I wrote? Bullshit. You know what I mean? I mean, to be honest, Jess says, how do you embody sad or painful experiences yet keep a high vibe to manifest? Or is it one at a time? This is my struggle. Not avoiding feelings, but not getting stuck either. It's in and out. Experience it, release it. Experience it, release it. Yeah, it's excuses. It's my own BS. I would work on that, but I have to do this other thing over here. Do you play that game? I will definitely be working on my big, important issues as soon as I organize the kids' toothbrushes. I got to do that. And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to clean the inside of my windowsills with a toothbrush. And then after that, I'm going to help everybody else with their problems because, they're very important and very urgent. But then I'm going to get to work on my stuff. I mean, I'm absolutely going to do it. And that is what we call it in consulting. We call it work avoidance. Work avoidance. And that's when you see empaths going, let me help everybody else, right? Sometimes when I'm up late, it's nobody in this group, but sometimes people will, there's reported posts like in our full moon group of people doing these live readings. And sometimes it's like midnight, 1 a.m., right? God knows what time zone they're in. And I'm watching these people and I'm thinking to myself, I bet you that a lot of these folks have a lot of work to do. And for some of them, this is a form of work avoidance. I'm going to go read for everybody else. Are they doing that? Are they turning that mirror back on themselves to really look at where they are too? Like, I just wonder sometimes, right? It's an interesting question. So let me go back in the feed because there's some questions here. Right? How do you figure out what your real work is? You'll know if you, and Fairy Moon Goddess is asking this too. You'll know if you have nailed it if you feel really uncomfortable when you hear it. Like when you want to not see it. When you go, ugh. That's when you found your real work. So if you go, my real work in the world is to help others. I'm sure it probably is. But I'm talking about what's wrong, what is out of alignment with you. Right? So for me, sometimes that is, the other thing I have to work on is my expectations of people and circumstances and situations. I have radically huge expectations. And I need to dial those in sometimes. And I need to watch it with myself too. And yes, your real work is part of what you're acknowledging, Priscilla. It's part of your shadow too. Right? So it's like, I need to look at, and I also need, part of my work too is like acknowledging that some of the things I find challenging about my life are actual things that I also choose consciously. So I need to look at that, right? Like if certain things in my life are are challenging, but I'm like consciously choosing them too. I have to figure that out, and I can't. So when we don't do our real work, what we end up doing is a lot of times projecting it onto other people. So if I'm not meeting my expectations of myself, then I can project that onto you and say, you're not meeting my expectations. Do you see how that works? When the reality is you may or may not be meeting my expectations, but the reason I'm saying that to you is not because you are not meeting my expectations, is because I'm not meeting my expectations. Yeah, that's a good point. And Alexis is right. Your north node, your true node in your astrological chart, is going to really tell you the arena of your dharma, right? Like kind of the playground that you need to be focusing on. It's also going to tell you what your triggers are. So like my north node is in, and we talked about this last year in Soul Shift, and there was a whole month on the north node. So if you ever want like a deeper dive on that, you can always go back if you weren't in Soul Shift last year and just get that month. Because we did a whole shebang on it, and it was good. But yeah, so, like mine is Capricorn, achievement, success, right? So I get really triggered when I don't feel successful, or when I don't feel like I'm achieving, or when I don't feel productive. I get really triggered. And then if I wasn't working hard, I could turn around and go, well, you're not working hard enough, like to my kids, right? And I would need to stop and go, that's actually my issue. Like, why am I doing this, right? We'll look up and figure out which month it was, Denise Rivera, and let you know. Off the top of my head, I can't remember which month the North Node was. I think it was early in the year last year, because it's kind of foundational stuff. We'll figure it out. Yeah, we will for sure. Okay. Now, so then I give you some, because the question is, so how do I know this? Okay, you can explore the North Node in your astrological chart. How do I actually become embodied? You got to really work with those lower chakras. And we worked with the sacral chakra 2 months ago, right? We're gonna continue that work now, because Ishtar, and I'm going to teach you all about Ishtar session 3. We're going to spend about 45 minutes learning about her, and then we're going to spend 45 minutes journeying with her. That's going to be session 3 of this class this month. Yeah, Alexis is checking into that for you now. So the Earth Star chakra and the root chakra are what take up pages 2, 3, and 4 of your worksheets. And you can read this on your own. There are some affirmations that you can say that we wrote for you that are aligned to the Earth Star and the Soul Star, or the Earth Star and the root chakra. But I would recommend that you write your own, because I think if you write your own affirmation, you're going to feel more connected to it. It'll feel more authentic to you. You'll be more likely to remember it and say it more often. So the two lowest chakras are your root chakra or base chakra. That if you're sitting on the carpet on your butt like me right now, you're sitting on it. It's right around your perineum at the base of your spine, and that is your most grounding physical chakra, the one in your physical body. The Earth Star chakra is about 12 inches beneath your feet, between the bottoms of your feet and 12 inches below, and that is your primary and strongest connection to the planet. That is your anchor. So between the sacral, the Earth Star, and the root, those are your embodiment channels. That is the area of focus for you for this month for your work in Soul Shift. Because again, the upper chakras are great, but a lot of us are using them as work avoidance. It's like, I want to develop my psychic gifts. And meanwhile, I'm over here going, I want to stop running away from life energetically. And in some ways, those can be competing goals, right? So is it possible to keep your third eye open and spinning and active and still be in your body and fully functioning? Yes, it is, because that's called alignment. Alignment is, I can see and hear clearly and sense clearly, and I can speak my truth, and my heart's open, but I also feel powerful, and I feel creative, and I feel grounded, and I feel a connection to this planet. And I know where I am right now. I know what room I'm in. I feel held and surrounded and protected, right? Like that is the absolute goal, is to be able to say all of those things and have them be accurate for you, is to be able to have all of that functioning at once. North Node is a big deal. And keep in mind, your North Node has an opposite called the South Node. And the South Node is your cosmic trap. to some extent. Your north node is why you're here now. Your south node tends to be a reflection of why you were here before, like past life stuff, last life stuff. And so it's when you're on track, you're in alignment with your north node. When you're off track, you tend to be in alignment with your south node. Mine's in Cancer. So when I always joke when I start parenting people, I know that I'm not on my path. So I'm not here really to mother people. I'm here to, climb the mountain, right? So it's very, very interesting. That's true. Okay, so let's see, what else? Any questions about that? So the main thing I wanted to say about that with you today is, and our symbol for the month reflects this, the transformation symbol. This is what ayahuasca told me, is that this is the anchor of the Angelophos symbols. This is the anchor. This is going to become, for me, in some ways, out of all 12 of the symbols, this is the most important of the symbols. Because if you think about it, it is the Trinity, do you see that? Anchored in the heart. So that what you create, right, ultimately has a foundation in the most accurate of your chakras, which is your heart chakra. And so the way you draw this symbol, by the way, and I'm going to try to do this each month. I really appreciated this, Alexis, by the way, because it's big enough for me to trace it for them and they can see it. So if you can keep giving these to me, this was really helpful this month, because I think you guys like to see how it's drawn too. And when I channeled these in ayahuasca, she drew them for me. So it's kind of a neat thing for me to come back and draw them for you during class. Isn't it beautiful? So by the way, this is what you don't have in tonight's tools too, is your belly chain. We had custom belly chains made for you with a really cool little lobster claw sterling silver charm of this that you'll be able to clip on your belly chain or clip off and wear on a other chain or as on your keychain or whatever else you want. Isn't that cool? So it's this little portable sterling silver charm that's coming to you. It's in India right now, but they're getting ready to ship it. So this is a neat one. Isn't it pretty? Okay, so the way you draw this symbol, you ready? It goes over the left and down, up over the right, then up, across, and down, and then through. All the Angelophos symbols were created in the way ayahuasca explained it to me to be drawn in one movement, so that you really, it was like one line, totally continuous. Isn't that cool? So again, if you're somewhere and you just want to call in this energy, you can do it just by drawing it into the air, or you can anoint your skin by pulling it through. You can do work on a client, right? Same way you do in your Reiki practice. Kind of fun, right? How do you spiritually recover from what? From life in general? Oh, I see. What if you have no one significant in your life anymore due to different forms of loss? You rebuild. One of the most important priestessing skills, I think, and probably the one that I draw on the most, is the skill of building. And when you have lost everything, that is when you have an absolute clean slate to rebuild, and to rebuild with some intention. And so if you've had a clean slate, right, then you get to ask yourself, so what do you want in your life, right? A lot of people have old relationships that they can't do anything about. Family relationships, a partnership that they've been in for 30 years and they feel kind of stuck there and stuff. And they have other challenges, right? Like they don't know how they can move some of those chess pieces around. They're so big and they're so anchored. So in some ways, having the capacity and the invitation to rebuild your relationships from the ground up is an experience of liberation, right? And choice that in some ways is a gift. It's just not easy. And I think the other thing is, loss, depending on what the loss is and how it happened to you, and I have had this experience too, you can end up feeling really tired. Do you know? It's like a lot of loss can leave you feeling like, I don't want to go through that anymore. Your heart gets tired. At least mine does. If it's like just loss after loss after loss after loss, it can be really exhausting. And so I think it depends on where you are, but if you're in that place, I think it's really important to take a breath and ask yourself what you need, right? What do you need? And become sort of like an architect of your intimacy spaces. And I'm sure, Brittany, I haven't gone through anything close to what you have. So I'm only speaking from my little place. But what some people will tell you is loss is loss, right? Whether it's a partner walking out your door after 30 years or a loved one, being taken from you too soon, your heart experiences loss a lot of times the same way. So I have a lot of compassion. It depends on where you are. And sometimes it's good after loss to take a breath. You know what I mean? And let the, as they say, the dust settle. Let things kind of settle just a little bit so that you can get your bearings again and kind of see where you are before you take steps forward, right? Yeah. Ooh. Felt like taking a breath there. Okay, so I see you. I see you, and I have massive compassion for you. But this is why we're here, right? This is why we're here. This is why we're doing this work. It's because no one in Soul Shift is immune to loss. Just like no one can avoid transformation. Those are sort of like, those are givens, right? And so what we have to do is, if you're not in that moment now, you need to, know that moment comes for everyone and prepare and build a skill set. And then if you are in that moment now, you need to have compassion for yourself and breathe through it. So what that symbol represents, as I said, is the Trinity. The phases, cycles of life, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, right? It's the holiness of the unity of that symbol anchoring itself in the heart space. So it's about recognizing that your faith ultimately lives here. It doesn't live in people. It doesn't live in structures. It doesn't live in other people's hearts. It lives in your own heart. This is where your capacity for change and transformation and growth lives. And so one of the things that came to me last night, I had a dream. It was really interesting. It wasn't the easiest dream or the best dream, but it was really powerful medicine. Oh, thank you for that, Alexis. I appreciate that. Well, I think that's okay. I think that's okay to keep saying yes, Janine. Maybe that is a way of presencing. Presencing looks like a lot of things, too. It can be nodding your head or saying yes, or sometimes people presence themselves by eating or by, moving their hands when they talk. Or presencing looks like a lot of different things. Some people like to have something in their hand all the time to touch or to, whatever makes you feel present. There's no right, wrong, in, out. It's just whatever works for you. When would be an example of a situation when to use this symbol? When you feel disconnected. When you feel overwhelmed. When you feel like you don't know where you're working from. Or you don't know how to get through something. That's your symbol. It's your anchor. This is your anchor. This is, I don't want my boat just floating around. My boat's floating. Do you see the connection between the teaching and the symbol? Remember, because at the beginning of it, what we were talking about is when you're energetically detaching, when you're like, I'm out. Energetically, you're not leaving, you're not running away, you're not. And part of me sometimes, I'll get back to my dream in just a second, but I wanted to say this too. I've had a lot of not a lot, but a fair number of people in my life commit suicide. I don't know what a normal number is, but I just have known a lot of people, and it's cut across like every cross section of my life, like people who are wildly successful and seem to have everything all together, right? Which obviously you never know what's going on in someone's life. But I have often wondered to myself, what if they believed there had been another way? Do you know what I mean? What if they had felt like there was a way to anchor in somehow that wasn't so painful? Do you know what I mean? That didn't require them to struggle in quite that way. And of course, there are people we have soul contracts, right? So obviously that was part of their contract, and I don't have any judgment about it at all. I mean, I have nothing but compassion for it. But at the same time, I just wonder sometimes, like, is there something we can do or say or offer when someone feels that that eject tendency? You know what I mean? Like, is there something, right? Ooh, I see you, Saya. And my fiance, before I met Dave, his father, you know, had taken his own life, and it really it marked his life in such a profound way, right? And so it's like, even if we can't save those people, do you know what I mean, from that outcome, maybe there's something that we can do for those who are left behind to help them, right? Yeah, it's a lot. So my dream last night was that there were these guides, and they came to me, and they were asking me, they had like a list of, it was really weird, they had like a list of all the things that I've been thinking about lately. And it was like little things, big things, podcasts, building construction, and then like, you know, less pleasant things, stuff that came up, you know, different parts of my life. And they had like a list of it. And they were going through the list, and the question they were asking me is, you know, 10 years from now, will you be glad that you spent time thinking about that? It literally was like this conversation we were having. And they went item by item. Will you be glad or will you be, I can't remember what the word that we were using was, but like, is that a good way? Was that something you should have spent time on? And I remember going through the list with them and kind of going, yes, yes, no, no. And they were just walking through this list with me. And at the end of it, it was like, stop giving energy to things that in this conversation you would say, absolutely not. I shouldn't give any energy or any thought or any time to that. Stop doing that. It's a really interesting conversation. And I woke up this morning feeling so grateful for that dream, because it was like, I do give energy sometimes to things that if I was in that meeting with those guides, I would have said no. I would have said, no, I absolutely shouldn't be giving any attention to any of those things or any of those situations or any of those outcomes, right? So Lori's reframing the question in the feed in a really helpful way. So I want you to think about this for a second. What is worth your time? You will be able to stay embodied more easily. It was more than a dream. It was let's have a chat, shall we, about what's going on. You will be able to stay embodied without as much of a struggle if you become really conscious and discerning about what and who you give your time and your energy to. And if you were to, I invite you, make a list. Pretend like you and I are going to sit down tonight, and I'm going to go through the list with you, and we're going to go one by one, and I'm going to say, Julienzi, 10 years from now, will you be really glad that you spent time on that? Okay, what about that? Okay, what about that? And then, can you commit to not giving any of those things any time or any attention anymore? Because what will happen is, if you start, ticking those things off, cutting those things off your list, then you're going to have more time to focus on the things that do keep you positive, to Hillary's point, to the things that do feed you. I encourage you to make a list. And if you want to post it in the Facebook group, please do. What are you giving your time and your attention to right now? And how much of it are you giving? Are you giving it 10% to your weird neighbor, you know what I mean, who's driving you nuts and has driven you nuts for 15 years, and you're giving 20% to dumb stuff with your partner, you know, and like, it's a really big deal, you guys. And literally when I woke up this morning, and I'm like, yeah, spirit guides, I'm not giving any of my time now to dumb things that I won't care about in 10 years. And then I woke up and it had nothing to do with Sage Goddess, but something, you know, random came up that Dave and I were talking about. And I was like, kind of got irritated. And then I stopped and I'm like, I already failed the test. I'm already ready to give attention to some other dumb thing that doesn't need it. I'm totally ready to do it all over again, even though I just had a dream saying not to do it, and I woke up going, I'm never going to do it again. And then I was like, I'm totally doing it again. I failed, Karen Brown. Within like an hour, I failed. The spirit guides are like, really? It didn't even take you 24 hours to fall off that wagon. I dare you to do it for May. You ready? Can you commit? Because I'll tell you something. I'll commit. I'm going to commit. I had already decided to commit before class today. So it's more about you. Well, that's true, Teresa. I mean, at least I caught myself. If I didn't catch myself, then I would have failed. So I did catch myself. You going to do it? Because I'm going to do it. All the way through May. I'm going to stop myself. I'm literally at the end of every day going to ask myself, what did I spend time on today? And will I be glad that I did that? And is there anything on that list that needs to get ticked off because it's not even worth it? Yeah. Well, and that's exactly the point, Julie Baxter. Because what you're going to discover when you make that list is how you're escaping. You're escaping by, you know, getting caught up in other people's drama, maybe. You're escaping by putting other people's needs ahead of your own. You're escaping by, you know, all kinds of different. You're going to find so much. If you're honest in that list, you're going to find a lot of stuff. Yeah. Make it. I would love to see your list. I mean, just to witness you. You don't have to share it, but if you want to share it, like, I'm ready. And look, some of the things on your list, you're going to say, you know what? I'm absolutely glad I'm spending that time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm absolutely glad I'm spending time trying to help my kids figure out how to become online learners. Like, that is 10 years from now, I will be glad I spent my time on that. Or, you know, whatever else it is. I'll be absolutely glad I spent time making sure my parents have food and aren't going out. I'll be absolutely glad certain things. But there's other things you spend your time on where you're like, I shouldn't be doing that. Right? Yeah. The struggle's real. Okay. Now, this leads us to our acknowledgement work. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, too, because you can read your worksheet. But the 12 steps of acknowledgement are the way that we're doing shadow work this year. And so the astrological calendar starts in April with Aries and then moves to Pisces, right, which is the last sign of the zodiac. And so this month in Taurus, we are in step 2 of this acknowledgement phase, and this is the step called I own it. So last month we faced our shadow. This month we're owning it. And owning it really means accepting what it is, right? It's one thing to look at something, because you can look at something and run away from it. It's another thing to look at something and say, that's mine. I do that. I do that. Right? Like, that's what I do. Okay. The question that this brings up and this totally relates to what we were just talking about, this is all related, is what is yours and what is not yours. Do you remember that came up in today's readings too? I'm not even kidding. I mean, that's why the readings are so like on point sometimes, and I'm not taking any credit. Those are spirit guides. But what is yours and what is not yours? Those are my notes from a couple days ago. And then that's what came up. That was in the book that I was reading from today. Right? So when we're working with Taurus, we're acknowledging our values, our resources, and what we own. Right? We're taking stock of what we're spending our time on, what we care about, what we pay attention to. Like it's all part of the work of this month of embodiment and presence and grounding. Because when you start to take stock and take inventory and take responsibility for what you're doing, it's a lot easier to make changes that are going to last, as opposed to like, well, I don't do that. Well, no, I don't. Oh, who me? Little old me? Right? Well, and that's why we're talking about balance and alignment, Sabrina Joy, right? Because she's like, what if you look at your shadow too much and you get lost in insecurity and the negative self-talk? That's why it can't just be in your body and it can't just be in your upper chakras. It's got to be this balance of both, right? So it's a great question. So this is about owning yourself, including your thoughts, emotions, and your actions. This encompasses experiences that put your self-worth, self-love, and self-sufficiency to the test, right? And so what we gave you as an exercise, if you want to do it, it's kind of a fun one, actually. I'm a writer, so I love stuff like this, is the Anchor Your Energy exercise on the next page, on page 2. And so it says, if you're not grounded, then take a moment to engage your senses. This is a very Taurian exercise. And you want to use your senses. So the example is, for taste, you can write down, I taste the sweetness of the wine I'm drinking, the notes of vanilla and berries, right? And like really getting into the details of taste. I hear the birds chirping outside my window. I feel the warm leather of my chair. I see my cat laying in the sunbeams. I smell homemade bread in the oven. I am here. And so you can do that exercise this way, or you can actually use this to do what we were just talking about. And ask yourself, where do you use your sense of taste? Like when you eat your meals, do you just like shovel it in and get it over with? Or do you sit there and like really appreciate the texture and the flavor and you know, if you made that food, giving thanks for, you know, the energy that you put into it and all of that, right? Do you actually hear things? Like, do you take time during your day to just hear the birds, or are you just walking around and you don't even notice if there's birds, right? What do you feel? Do you take the time to notice textures and sensations? And this is all part of embodiment. Do you appreciate the soft feel of your blankets and the velvets and the textures, and like the carpet I'm sitting on is really soft, right? Again, if you're not in your body, you probably don't taste, feel, sense, smell anything. At the end of the day, you probably couldn't even remember what you ate. You know what I mean? When you're not in your body. When you're not in your body, it's like boom, 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 brush your teeth, go to bed. Like who knows what kind of blankets are on my bed, right? What do you see? What do you smell? So this is part of getting into your body too. Yeah, I mean, food is sex for me. I love food. I love eating. I love putting food in my mouth. I love making food. I like the smell of food. I like gathering ingredients for food. I like organizing my refrigerator. Food for me, I'm sure it's dysfunctional, but you know, I just say it's because I'm Greek, but I have no other explanation for it. Well, Tammy, I think we're all feeling called out today. I really do. I'm calling myself out. I do this. Everything I'm telling you that needs work, I do it. A lot. So, if you're feeling called out, I'll tell you, I'm over here calling myself out too. It's a great question. What's the best way to get in your body when not at home if you're at work? You can still do that embodiment exercise. Take 2 minutes and become aware of your surroundings. What do you feel? What do you smell? What do you taste? What are you hearing? Right? That just brings you into present time. I mean, really what we're talking about again is presencing, showing up, being part of your life, not checking out. Not having days where you're like, I don't even know where I was today. Or have you ever had a conversation with people and afterwards you're like, I don't even know what they said? You're not there. Your body's there, your head's moving, but at the end of it, you're like, I have no idea what they just said. It's like, where are you? Come back, right? Take a deep breath. It's true. The last thing I wanted to show you, because this is kind of another step forward for us, and then I'll see if you have any questions and we can work on our breathing. Yeah, Millie says she goes to the bathroom and breathes. I like to, when I'm at work, and I used to do this in corporate too, so I don't think it's just a Sage Goddess thing, or like a here and now thing. But when I'm at work, if I need a minute, I have tea. I'll make tea. Because then it gives me like the flavors, the temperature, it shifts my energy, plus the herbs. You know what I mean? So I usually have chai when I'm at work, or even at home if I need tea. It's usually chai with some ginger in it. But you can, have whatever herbs you want. You can even grow your own herbs and make your own tea, right? But yeah, that's a big hint. If you find yourself having a lot of conversations where afterward you're like, you know what, I really don't know what she just said, that's a good hint that you are checking out. You activate a lot of energy when you put your tongue behind your teeth at the roof of your mouth. And you can use your mudras that I've taught you in Crystal Masters. So that's another thing that you can do. Right? Just a couple things, just to kind of, those are things, easy things you can do. And if you're sitting in a meeting, nobody's going to know that you're working a mudra and have your tongue behind your teeth, right? All of a sudden, back present, right? That's a good thing too. Okay. All right, so this is the last step in your worksheets for this month. This is the Fibonacci spiral. This is the sacred, sacred, sacred. I should show you one that's like the exact same. Isn't that beautiful? That's your mother right there and her artwork. Isn't it gorgeous? So the golden mean is what's known as phi, right? 1.618. And it's the golden mean is, it's a long, like extended mathematical explanation, and we're not going into the specifics of the mathematics. But the golden mean is a number like pi, where the 1.618 repeats indefinitely, or goes beyond the decimal point indefinitely without repeating the numbers. So it is this like ever increasing ratio. So I want to go into your worksheets where for the Fibonacci sequence. So that sequence, it's a representation, it's a numerical representation of the sequence. So the Fibonacci sequence grows infinitely. It goes 0 to 1, and then it goes 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, and so on. And what happens is it becomes a never-ending spiral, and you see it in almost every geometric shape. So that's an example of the Fibonacci sequence. So it starts with 1, right? And then it goes 2, 3, and out, and it winds out and out and out into bigger numbers. But it always follows this exact formula. And the whole formula, the golden mean, begins with a straight line. So the proportion of the straight line that is A is 1.61. So and then you can see the mathematical calculation. So it's A plus B over A equals B over A equals 1.618. So that is the actual physical mathematical calculation of the Fibonacci sequence. That's right. So what happens in the sequence is each new number is the sum of the previous two numbers. Okay, so the Fibonacci sequence is 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55. And it follows that sequence to infinity. Isn't it beautiful? It has many fascinating and amazing properties. If you assign, get this, this is where it really gets interesting. They use this to build the pyramids. If you assign each number a block, start at 1 and work your way down, the blocks form a perfect pyramid. Isn't that crazy? So this is what they used. Yeah, forget the math part. You don't. I wanted to give you the definition of the ratio, but the definition of the mathematics is not why we're here tonight. We're really here to talk about manifestation, because this is a formula. Okay, this is harnessing really infinite energy in the universe. This formula, if you can think about it the way we're going to talk about it now. The Fibonacci spiral is the visual representation of the sequence. So those numbers, the spiral is what they create. It can be seen in seashells, in the way leaves grow on plant stems and tree branches, in the fruit sprouts of a pineapple, the way an artichoke grows, and in the arrangement of the pine cone's bracts actually follows the Fibonacci sequence. So the Greek letter phi, or phi, some people say it's the phi ratio, but in Greek it's phi, represents the golden mean or golden ratio, or Leonardo da Vinci called it the divine proportion. Leonardo da Vinci and some of the great artists have woven the phi ratio or phi ratio into their paintings as well. Even the Last Supper, the distance between Jesus and the disciples and the measurement from the table to his head and everything, if you look at it, it's the golden mean. It's pretty beautiful. Okay. The reason the golden mean works, according to some people, and there's some studies to back this up in art history and art studies and social sciences, is that when things are drawn or created with this ratio as its structure, it's more appealing to the eye. So if you show people two different pictures and one of them has been composed using the golden mean and the other one hasn't, people will look at the one that's composed with the golden mean and say it's prettier, or it's more balanced, or it's more uniform, or it's more structured. Even human faces. So, some people's faces align more to the golden mean, and some people's features don't. This is how fractals are created. Isn't that cool? Very, very neat. Now, as I said in the worksheets, you might be wondering, how does this relate to manifestation? And what I gave you are what I think are the 4 steps to manifestation. So I'm going to try to read from my notes and show you a picture at the same time. So this is one of your worksheets for this month. Okay. In my experience, every creation, everything you will ever manifest starts as inspiration and what I call fire in the belly. Okay. And then you begin to breathe life into it. You begin to imagine it and envision it. And then you start to create flow around it, attach feelings to it. And then you start to ground it into some kind of physical form. Okay, so what would that look like, or how would I do that? What would my next good step be? And then you move like that. So what we decided to share with you is this. And this would be a good one even we tried to make it pretty so that if you wanted to print it and hang it somewhere, just to remind you each day of the different steps in the manifestation process. I've never in my teaching career tied manifestation so explicitly to sacred geometry. This is the first for me, but I was inspired. I thought it was fun to try and make these connections, so I hope that you're enjoying it too. So number 1 is fire. It's your creative inspiration. And what I call the fire in the belly. Like, I need to do this thing. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know who's going to support me. I don't know where the money's going to come from. I don't know. But I'm turned on and I want to do this thing, and I'll start small, right? Creative inspiration. And remember that this is the beginning of the fib sequence, right? This is in that long sequence, this is the 0, 1, 1, 2, 3. Notice how slowly the Fibonacci sequence begins, just like what you manifest, right? Like sometimes you're at that 0, 1, 1, like I think I want to fill in the blank, right? I think I want to become a teacher. I think I want to, go through yoga teacher training. I think I want to become a massage therapist, whatever it is. You're at the 0, 1, 1. And then it goes 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55. The Fibonacci sequence starts so tight and so small and so slow when it's in that, like, just getting the ideas going, just getting the fire going, just getting the intention going, right? And then it starts to pick up this wide speed, right? And so again, the visual for you is everything you manifest starts here. It's so small. You know, it's like the single white sage bundle of Sage Goddess 9 years ago. You know, it's like, you know, and then the unwinding of that, like, ooh wee, right? And how the universe takes you know, that single cell, that one cell, and multiplies life and as it unfolds. And that's why this symbol, whether you call it, you know, the Fibonacci or the Nautilus or whatever, this is it. Like, this is one of the keys to the castle, is remembering. And this is why people who do things slowly, start small, really spend a lot of time in the visioning and intention stages of their creations, tend to do more and to do better than people who are like, all in, I'm not gonna just open one restaurant, I'm gonna open 5 restaurants. It's like, come up with a recipe. You know what I mean? Like, come up with a name. Come up with a dish that you really want to be your specialty. Come up with a, you know, come up with the nucleus, right? Don't try to build a whole human body. Let's start with a cell, and then you can go from there. So that's why I wanted to talk to you about this tonight, because I thought it was a really good way. I'm a very visual learner. I like to think about things through the lens of art or imagery, and I think this is pretty juicy. So step 1 is Great Spirit has put a fire in your belly and you got something you want to do. Then step 2 is building it out. So this is the fire element, right here. And then you're going into the air element, where you're going to start adding thoughts and communication. This is air, swords, the mind, right? Mentalism, calling in that Hermetic principle that all is mind. And so you start to not just feel the sensation of wanting to do this thing, but you start having visions of what it could look like and who might help you, and, right, calling in all the energies that you need right now. And then, yeah, you don't want Gordon Ramsay right now. Not at the beginning, right? He'd be like, why are you opening a restaurant? You gotta get your ducks in a row. This is getting your ducks in a row. And then step 3 is water. You start to feel into it, right? Heart and soul. I love this. I want to spend all my time doing it, right? Or in a relationship, you started to manifest a partner and you started to visualize what that partnership would look like, and then boom, that partner's on your doorstep and you're like, I just want to lick you. Right? This is the bringing water and energy and heart and soul and emotion and sensuality into it. And then it's step 4, which is make it happen. This is the physicality piece. This is the pentacles, element of earth, bringing matter into form, right? And recognizing that everything has a vibration, and with that vibration comes a material incarnation too. And so this is, for me, this is the way, first of all, you look at manifestation and elementally, right? That it begins with fire. There's a spark, right? Whether it's in a relationship or a new business idea that you have, if it doesn't start here, would I stop at licking? No, I'm kind of a sure thing, and I'll take it all the way. I'm out of my ginger ale. I just started drinking ginger ale again after a long time, and I'm obsessed with it. Like, really obsessed with it. It's become like my new favorite thing. Okay. Reminds me of being a kid. I don't know why. But anyway, everything starts with fire. And then, but it has to move beyond the fire. Eventually there has to be the air, and eventually there has to be the water, and eventually there has to be earth, right? But if what you're trying to do doesn't start with a fire in your belly, kind of a a passion. I'm like, ooh, I want this. I need this. This is what has to happen. I feel passionate about this for other people. I want this for other people. If there isn't that like fire, I don't think you're as likely to manifest. If where you're coming from is, I think this is a good idea. I've really thought about it, and other people have thought about it, and we all think it's a good idea. And it's like, yeah, but are you passionate about it? Do you want it? Are you super excited about it? No, but I think it's practical. You know what I mean? I think this new design for trash cans is going to be very helpful for people. Okay, I'm not saying that wouldn't happen, but when it starts in your belly, it's a little bit different. Like, okay, I can't sleep at night because I'm so excited about this new trash can. And I don't even know if anybody's going to like it or if it makes sense or anything else, but it's my trash can and I have to build it, and I'm going to do it. Right? That's a different orientation. And then if you never fall in love with it, I don't think it'll last. Sage Goddess is my absolute passion. It's also the hardest job I've ever had in my entire life. And if I didn't love it, I wouldn't be able to do it. I mean, there's just no way. Because it's like a big old octopus with 90 tentacles, and they're all moving at the same time, and I'm never quite doing as much as I should be or could be or want to be doing, because there's always more need than what I'm able to provide. So I feel like I'm always just endlessly trying to catch up. I love it, but it is so much, right? So if I didn't just love it the way I do, because I really do love everything about it, it wouldn't last, right? I mean, at some point I'd be like, I can't do this. You know what I mean? It's too hard, and I don't love it. I don't love everything about it. Okay, well then that's how you know it's not going to work, right? And then to step 4, right? Then to step 4, because at the end of the day, if it doesn't manifest in some way in physical form, then it's not happening at all, right? I mean, a new idea that you want to bring into the earth or onto the planet can't just live in your head. It can't just be like a head game that you're playing. At some point, people are going to be like, but are you going to do something? Like, you've been talking about it for a long time. Are you going to do it? So we should make that into a canvas. I think that's actually a really great idea. And so one of the 2 giveaways, and I'm gonna do them in the Facebook group. That way, even people who didn't make it to class tonight have a chance to enter, but I'm going to show it to you live. Where did the other one go? Oh, here it is. This is an ammonite, millions of years old. I don't know that we have any of these at Sage Goddess. We sometimes have them, sometimes don't. They're actually not as easy to find as they used to be. They used to be every gem show I'd go to, I'd find ammonites. This time I was consciously looking for them, couldn't really find them. And so what they did is sliced it in half. And so I'm going to send a pair of these to one of you as a gift because I was teaching you Fibonacci sequence tonight. These are pink ammonites. Do you see how they crystallize in pink? There's also a little bit of calcite in there. You get a lot of calcification. These have also pyritized. So some of the lines in between the cavities, because this was a real creature at one time. Ammonites were living beings. Not the coolest thing. And so the lines between the channels, as they call them, some of them have pyritized too. So they've become like quite gold. Isn't it gorgeous? So the way you work with these, this was a jumbo pair. We didn't have a lot of these at the time, is you put them over your ears. And we call them cosmic headphones or Lemurian headphones. And you can go into a really deep state of meditation. I can't even hold them up for very long before I kind of start going someplace else. They're really cool. So just keep the pair of them together and keep them near your altar, and that'll be a really good meditation for one of you. And enjoy. I'm really happy to be sending my pair off. It was funny because I was looking at that pair. I've had that pair for about 5 years. And I was designing our class content. And I thought to myself, I'm going to hold on to that until I teach the Fib sequence for manifestation. And then to show them so you could actually see, because it literally is this. So it's neat to see how nature actually replicates that. And then to give it to one of you so that you'll remember this lesson in a different way. Isn't that cool? They're cute, right? Can you imagine you could put a little cute elastic strap on it and wear them? You go out with your mask on and your Lemurian headphones on and... I'm glad. It's fun, right? It's a different way of approaching manifestation. So again, let's refresh, and then we will turn our attention to perfuming and other such matters. Let me look at my notes for a second and just make sure I covered everything I wanted to tell you. Oh, I still have something else I want to tell you. Let me go through this really quickly. Okay. So our guide is Ishtar this month. As I told you, we will be learning about her in session 3. The perfume for Ishtar will be available on Friday. It's not required, but a lot of you have wanted more embodiment tools for the goddesses that we're working with, and gods too this year, so that's coming. What do I want to tell you? Sacral chakra, root chakra, earth star chakra. Those are the 3 that you need to work on for embodiment. I want to teach you the seed mantras really quickly, the bija mantras for the chakras, the other ones that we haven't done before. And I'm going to tell you, so if you remember, we did the Yam challenge, right, last month, where we said Yam, 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 Yam 108 times, because that's the heart chakra mantra. The bija mantras or the seed mantras are the 1-syllable mantras for each one of the chakras, okay? I think this month we should either do sacral, root, or earth star chakra. There technically is no bija or seed mantra for the earth star chakra. I made one up because it's one of my favorite bija mantras, and I thought it's really appropriate. So I decided I appropriated the Ganesha bija mantra, which is GAM, G-U-M or G-A-M. It's pronounced GAM. And so I do 108 GAM when I'm doing an Earth Star mantra meditation, okay? So that's GAM. The root chakra is LAM, L-A-M. And the sacral chakra is VAM, V-A-M. Now what's nice about the GAM Earth Star bija mantra is you're invoking the removal of all obstacles, which is kind of nice. And you guys are all over the board. Solar plexus is Ram. Heart is Yam, as we know. Throat is Ham. According to some people, third eye is Sham, S-H-A-M. Or some people just say Om twice. They say Om for the third eye, and they also say Om for the crown. So that's, Jason is offering kind of the alternative way. So Gam, Lam, Vam, Ram, Yam, Ham, and I would do Sham, Om. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you, Sarah Halperin, for that feedback. I really appreciate it. Shall we? So why don't we do Earth Star today, and just for a little while, okay? If we get tired of it, we can move on up. So we'll go from Gam to Lam to Vam. And we'll just kind of feel into it. If you guys are like, you know what, I'm ready to graduate from Earth Star to Root, let's move on. I'm ready to graduate from, Root to Sacral, whatever. We can keep doing that. Does that sound good? We'll start with the Gam. Ah can be crowned too. Okay. Good. I'm excited. I think that's going to be really great. So those are your bija mantras. The last thing I wanted to tell you before we do perfuming is... what did I want to say about that? I covered most of it. This is the only other thing I didn't really say to you tonight, but it's worth mentioning. When you energetically check out, and our 3rd week journey, my intention with working with Ishtar for that journey is going to get you to plug back in. And I want you to, before week 3, I want you to consciously choose an area of your life where you need to plug back in, where you have unplugged. It might be your marriage, it might be your job, it might be your boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, it might be with your kids, it might even be with yourself, it might be with your sensuality or your sexuality. Someplace where you admit you have gone, you know what, I'm out. For whatever reason. Could be a really good reason, too, that you decide to unplug. We're going to plug back in week 3 with Ishtar. The one thing I wanted you to say, or wanted to say to you about this, when you consistently unplug from a situation in your life, So whether it's your marriage, your relationship, your kids, your sensuality, whatever, you create an empty container. You're not there. You're not sending any energy there, but you're also not there. So you create this thing, right? If you're doing this at work, you're not really there anymore, but you're not there. And what I want to say about this is that is one of the biggest drains on your energy you can imagine. That is going to make you tired. That is going to make you feel like, even if you sleep really well and you sleep 12 hours a day and you're like, how am I even tired? Because you are leaving these open portals and energy just, it's like you bleed out. And so at some point, the next phase of this work, the next phase of this work is, are you going to participate now? Are you going to start putting something in there, or are you going to close it down? Right? You don't have to, it's not like a gas tank that you have to keep full all the time, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, meanwhile, this thing is just over here going, is she coming back? I don't think she's coming back. What are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to just sit here? We'll just wait for her. You know what I mean? And meanwhile, like, you're like, I'm not coming back. Right? I do it too. So I am completely guilty of this. But I think the more you know, the less likely you are to keep creating this, right? And then you wonder why you're tired. And then you wonder why you're not manifesting. And then you wonder why, and it's like, because energy is infinite and yet it's finite. And if you have all these empty, open spaces in your life, people and places waiting for you to come back, you have to acknowledge at a certain point, like, I think I'm all done with that. I think I'm done with that friendship. I think I'm done with that. Or I'm going to come back and give it something. You know what I mean? I'm going to water it once a week. I'm not going to water it. Well, you don't have to close it, Karen Brown, but you got to make some choices. Like, for a lot of people, their life is a landmine of this. Every time they turn around, it's like, well, there's this other thing I half started and then walked away from, and oh, there's this other thing I half started and walked away from, and then, well, there's this other thing I'm not really giving any attention to. So what you want to do is take an inventory here, start to prioritize and say, I'm going to start giving some energy to this thing over here. And I'm going to acknowledge that I don't know that is going to get my energy ever again. You know what I mean? So I hope this is helpful. And it isn't about going through your life and just saying, all right, well, these 30 relationships over and done. But you could say, you know what? I don't want to talk to that person every day. I don't. But you know what? Once a month, yeah, that feels good. And that way I'm putting something in there, so it's not just this big vacuum of energy waiting, right? This is the kind of stuff too that, oddly enough, believe it or not, does end up like showing up in your body in so many ways. So no, you don't have to go back and give it everything, but like once in a while. You don't have to start really taking great care of yourself starting today, but like make yourself some tea once a day, right? When this is over, schedule a massage for yourself, or I don't know, do something, right? It doesn't mean you have to completely start showing up 100% in your relationship right now if you don't want to, but again, what would a little bit of water look like? And if you don't want to give it water, then I also like want you to look at that. If you're like, no, I don't want to give it anything, it's like, well, then what are you doing? And if it's done, then it's done. And you'll clean it up. This is how we get to clean relationships, where we don't have the landmines. We have like, you know what, I've been really giving this a lot of thought, and I'm so grateful for where we've been and what we've been through, but I'm going to acknowledge that I don't think there's any more energy between us. How do you feel? You know what I mean? And the other person in that case is probably likely to say, yeah, you know what? Kinda. I'm glad you're saying it, right? And it's like, okay, so what do we want to do about that? But having that conversation is hard, which is probably why you're in the position you're in the first place. But again, it's like, and you don't have to do this. You don't have to clean up every relationship at once. Maybe this takes a year. Maybe this takes 2 years. Maybe this takes 3 years. But if you don't become consciously aware of it, then it never happens. Then it never happens. Right? No, I don't want a massage right now. The only thing I want in my life right now are glasses. I learned how to do my own nails. Now I just want glasses so I can see. That's right, Sherry Dimovich. Clean up in aisle 7. I used to dream of having a massage, and now I'm like, nope. Nope. Well, this is what it all comes down to, Meximel, does it not? What about reciprocity? If you don't have reciprocity, do you have a relationship? No. Yeah, I gotta get prescription glasses. My vision is just... Yeah, I do gel. OPI, man. I am a diehard OPI. Yeah, so if you don't have reciprocity, I don't know that you have a relationship. You know, unless it's with you, and then isn't there even reciprocity with you? I will tell you, I give me surprises. I give me physical pleasure. I give me permission to say and do silly things. I give me a really nice wine glass to drink my ginger ale out of. I give me halfway decent massages as far as I can reach back. I am very good to me. That's such a Leo thing to say. I give me things. I bought myself roses for Mother's Day, and they just arrived today from my nursery. That was from me. Look at me giving me things. Can't even get a donut right now. My favorite donut shop's closed. I know. God bless that donut shop. I really hope they make it through this odd time. Okay, let's make perfume. You know what's really funny? Can I tell you a quick story? I know we're running late. We're gonna be like 5 or 10 minutes over anyway. So I had this customer buy something on Etsy, and we don't really sell like much on Etsy. I don't want to sell that much on Etsy because I don't like Etsy. Etsy's not very kind to metaphysical folks. Anyway, whatever. The customer bought something on Etsy, and so he sent a message in. I never check the Etsy messages because they go directly to my my team, my support team. So they work with the Etsy messages. But Spirit was like, go in and look at your messages. So I go in, and there's a message. This was like 2 weeks ago from a man named Bo. And he was thanking me for what he got. But I couldn't stop reading his message. So he said thank you for the tools. They're part of his ascension process. And then he wrote this long letter and about how he's from the Stargate, and that he is trying to reduce his carbon imprint on the planet, and that he tries to have minimal physical interaction with other humans, and he's really just focused on the ascension of the planet. I mean, and crazy smart guy, and really long messages, and his name is Bo. So, I wrote back to him, and then he wrote back to me, and I wrote back to him again. He's been asking me these interesting questions about, my star origins and where I feel like I came from, and telling me the whole history of his family, and it's just this it's almost like our souls are writing back and forth to each other. It's really just about origins of spirits on the planet and stuff. And I'm like, I don't even know how. I mean, I've never had that kind of a dialogue with somebody through Etsy messages. He's amazing. I mean, it's just this really, really, really amazing soul. And so I wrote back to him yesterday, and I said something like, I'm just really glad to know that there are people like you on the planet right now. It makes me feel better that there are people like you who are completely focused on just just the ascension of the planet and holding the energy for that. So I just wanted you to know that. There are still some really interesting, plugged in, cosmic, amazing humans. And like every couple of days I go back in to see if he's replied, and he usually has, just because he's this, what an interesting man. You know what I mean? And it's not weird. It's just kind of awesome. He's ascending. And he likes to talk to me about it. Kind of cool, right? It's super cosmic. It's really crazy. I don't even really think he knows who I am. He just knows the shop Sage Goddess. It's just weird. But also really cool. So his name is Bo. And so B-O, it's short for something, it's like a Dutch thing. I don't know what it is. Anyway. That kind of stuff happens to me every once in a while. It keeps me like optimistic about where we are in the world right now. Yeah, he tweaks my brain, and I'm into it. Okay, I'm going to burn just a little bit of some good stuff for you. Not super good stuff, but good enough. So you're going to do your homework tonight and make your list of how you're spending your time and ask yourself if it's a good way. Are you going to be glad you spent your time doing that in 10 years? So when your spirit guides are like, you spent time on that, you're going to be like, yeah, that was a good thing. Or, I shouldn't have done that. I think it's worthwhile. Honestly, it changed my life a little bit. Okay. So, yeah, do it this weekend. I think you should. I watch TikTok videos. What's wrong with TikTok videos? I mean, I don't do them, but I watch them. Okay, so let's make our perfume. I'm going to tell you briefly about the oils that are here. So cedar, this is Cedrus deodara, which is Himalayan cedar wood, by the way. I want you to take a couple of deep inhales with this. So good. So cedar wood, just so you know, these were very intentionally chosen oils this month. Cedar wood is a physical cleanser. It's a harmonizer of the chakras. It is protective and grounding, and cedar wood gets you in your body like literally nothing else. It is so important. Cedar wood is also in this same Himalayan cedar wood is in the Wealth and Health perfume. That's how strongly I feel about cedar wood. It is a master healer. And then gardenia, this is Gardenia Absolute, this is real deal. Hard to find. Gardenia has to be made as an absolute because the petals are thick and waxy, kind of like jasmine. And so this is pure gardenia, and gardenia is beauty, sensuality, and stress relief. So this is get in your body and sex it up. Isn't it beautiful? That's okay. Work with what you have. I mean, I always have to go through the tools because some people have them, but if you don't have tools this month or you don't want tools, just use what you have. Burn cedar wood if you have it. And then this is pomegranate. Pomegranate's really powerful. In most traditions, in most cultures, it's fertility. It's also beauty. And it's magic and power. Remember that Persephone ate the seeds, and that's why she had to stay in the underworld. It's mystery, it's wisdom, it's all of those things together. Okay. So, I want you to make some quick decisions here about what you want to focus on in your blender if you want it to be 50-50. I want mine to be 50-50, and you might try smelling them together. And if you have one you like better, go a little stronger on that. I like them equally well, and they blend really beautifully together. So I'm going to do a 50-50 blend of the gardenia. If you want to save some gardenia, though, because it is super special and rare, I don't blame you. I might do about a third of my bottle, leave a third of my bottle there. And then I'll fill up with the rest of the cedar wood. I want this to be a strong blend, so I'm not going to dilute it that much. So I'm using all of my cedar and about 2/3 of my gardenia. And that's actually perfect for me. And then turn it 3 times, which will blend it nicely. And then you can apply these neat. We're going to dilute it in just a second, but you can test it on your skin and see how you like it. Yeah, that's kind of what I did too, Nathan. I wanted all the cedar. But, you know, Wooby, you can't go wrong because they're beautiful. So if you want to do 50-50, that's perfect. And then fill up the rest of the way with your pomegranate. It's like each drop is a seed that I'm eating. And if it's slow, you know, like mine is, say a prayer with every drop in there. Love, safety, protection, connection, sensuality, embodiment, power. Woo! And then blow on it. On it goes. Turn it 3 more times just to blend it really well. You can hold it up to the light and see how the oils are blending too. That gardenia, it will make it a little bit opaque because absolutes tend to be a little bit cloudy sometimes, but it's still pretty crystal clear too. And then open and smell one more time just to see if you like it. It'll settle over the coming days, but that's good. Whew, that's just the proportion of cedar and gardenia that I wanted. And then you've got your label there if you want to name your blend and label your blend. I usually do that at the end of the month when I put it into my cabinet, my EO cabinet. I've got everything in one place at home to try and keep it organized, and that's usually when I name it. But you got to name it before it goes in. So if you have chipstones and you want to add them, you certainly can. You are more than welcome to do that. And then I want you to notice how beautifully that blend goes with snake. Because snake is gonna make that edgy. Because snake is the cardamom and the allspice and the labdanum all together, which is like super sensuality, manifestation. Allspice is so good for manifestation, and cardamom activates the sacral chakra, and labdanum is solar plexus and power. So those perfumes were really meant to work together. That just smells yummy. You can really smell the allspice and the cardamom and the snake, but then that cedar wood like drops it down a little bit. And then the gardenia kind of keeps it floating a little bit too. Did you see that? Woo! Yeah, so Fernanda, Alexis can help you. Like if you ever want to go back and buy a previous month, it might be kind of cool, Alexis, to make a meme of what the focuses were for this year and last year, the previous months, and then help people find the links. Because you might want to pick up like a month here or two, you know, or you might want to go back and do the whole thing. So we can find a way to get you just like the focuses of each month so that you can decide how and when you want to go back. Woo! We started at, we're actually almost done, Carla. We started at 4 p.m. It's 6 p.m. now. We're going to go a few minutes over, though, so I'm glad you're here. Smell your fingers. Smell my fingers. So good. It's intoxicating. And then if you have any left, put it on your ends of your hair. It's always good. Helps to prevent split ends. Your oils are always good for your skin. Yeah, so this is the May Soul Shift Toolkit. The whole year, the whole year up front when we did it was $900, I think, because you got a little bit of a discount. Otherwise, it's $90 a month, and it's 12 months. So we gave you like a month free at the beginning. So that was the whole year for Soul Shift. Isn't that cute? Uh-oh, Allison can't get her bottles open. You may need, I use little scissors to pop the little caps off, if that helps you. Okay, so now I want to dedicate our tools. Whew. So if you have a double terminated quartz wand, you can grab that. We do this at the beginning of every month just to welcome in these tools, to thank them for their contribution to our practice. So you can get in a little bit closer so you can see me and the tools too. So we always begin in the east. So we are going to give thanks for our betony wood and our nettle leaf. These I will be teaching you about. I'm going to recommend that we burn these during our journey. So have your incense burner ready at session 3. These are going to make a really cool incense to burn. And the incense will really be about, there's a great story I have to share with you about nettle. The legend around nettle is that the great serpent gave nettle its stinger to protect it, and that's why nettle leaves sting when you pull them. But both of these are master healers. Betony wood has a really interesting lineage around it. It was known in ancient Rome as Caesar's cure. Caesar claimed that betony wood cured at least 50 different illnesses, and he always had it on hand. So it's got this really long lineage as a healer. And then nettle is considered a master healer today by most herbalists too. So these are very healing, very powerful, very strengthening to your physical body. And so I thought these were really good for this month. And so we will burn these as an incense when we get together at week 3. So I want to give thanks to the mother plants for the offerings of these herbs for this month. And then in the south, we want to give thanks for our beautiful candle, which was blended with gardenia and cedar wood, just like the oils in your kit this month. In the west, we want to give thanks for our perfumes, our snake perfume, our gardenia and cedar wood oils, our pomegranate carrier, the beautiful perfume that we made tonight, and of course our beautiful bottle honoring Ishtar. And then in the north, I thought we could give thanks because we're waiting on our waist chain. We want to give thanks to our waist chains and thanks to our generators, which aren't here yet, and our henna, which isn't here yet, and then our beautiful face jewels and our flash tattoos as well. And we open our circle and we dedicate these tools to our work for the month of May in Soul Shift. Amen, aho, and so it is. And so when we dedicate our tools, what that means is these are tools that for now should really only be worked with when you're doing classwork. You can always feel free to work with these tools whenever you need them. But in particular, your focus with these tools should be classwork. At the end of May, we will deconsecrate or undedicate these tools so that you can then take them and use the candle anywhere in your house that you want, or, break the herbs down and put them into your apothecary, or take that perfume and just, use it as a daily perfume, or put it next to your bathtub and just put a couple of drops in when you want to feel a little bit more sensual and connected to your body and your physicality. So that's kind of the why we do that, because it adds an extra layer of power to your tools when the energy around them is completely focused on the work, which again, this month is embodiment, transformation, and grounding. And this is all to help you manifest from a more powerful place, because the two main things I've tried to teach you about manifestation over the last 60 days. And seriously, if this is all you took away from the last 60 days, I would almost be okay with it. It's so important. Okay? Are you ready? Number 1 is you don't just manifest from your conscious mind, you manifest from your subconscious mind, which means your subconscious beliefs about who you are and what you're worthy of and what you're capable of. And, that teacher in 6th grade who said you weren't going to amount to anything, or that, which is what happened to me, or whatever else, all that subconscious programming affects your adult manifestation cycles. And the other thing I want you to realize is that manifestation is alchemical. It's about changing things from one form to another, and that anything is possible because of that, because of its alchemical structure, and that manifestation is an elemental cycle that begins with fire and then moves into air and then makes way for the heart and ultimately has to manifest through the element of earth. And so I'm trying to really give you a different way of thinking about manifestation. And it isn't just putting things on a vision board and waiting for them to happen. It's like, no, you're in the driver's seat here. And you have to work the elements. You have to get in there and dig out your subconscious and figure out why you don't feel worthy of a healthy relationship, or why you don't feel worthy of having, a thriving business, or whatever it is. And then once you get past those obstacles, then you start to see, oh, it really isn't as hard as I thought it was. But a lot of people don't know how to do that. And so it's like, so start lighting your candles as you're trying to come up with that idea. And then, work with feathers to move energy and bring in the element of air when you're bringing in the thought component, and then start working with the element of water and heart medicine and your transformation symbol for the month and all of those things when you're bringing the heart medicine into manifestation. And then you got to ground that energy and be in your body and activate those lower chakras and use those seed mantras when you're doing that last stage of bringing things in through physical form. What I hope you see is that this gives you a way to be a much more active participant. This is that you're not just sitting back waiting for stuff to happen and then it doesn't happen and you're disappointed and you give up. It's like there's plenty of things that you can do. And it's all these different steps, answering the questions that I'm asking you, which gets you into a really deep inner dialogue with yourself about what's really going on, where are you spending your time, why do you feel that way, and what is your ultimate purpose for being here. And then how can we get you into some deeper alignment with that? And then everything else from there comes together. But these are sort of the foundational building blocks of the process, right? So I'm glad it's helping you, and I'm glad that it's all making sense, because I know it's a lot. Like when I, even as a professor of doctoral students, like this is a lot of worksheets for one class. So I don't want you to feel daunted. And like I said, you don't have to do it all before class or whatever. But I also want you to feel like there's some real meat on this bone, like I said, because there is a lot of geometry and science and magic and elements and everything involved in this process. It's very dynamic and very alive. I like alchemical. I was going to call my perfume embodiment, or just body. I like that. Okay, so our last step for tonight, as we've done everything else, before I ring my wine glass bell. Mayhem, Lisa Minter's Mayhem. I love you, Lisa. That's awesome. Oh, I'm glad. I hope you're feeling good, Andrea. I'm glad you're here. Christina's hands are tingling. Well, I do too, Ashley. That's why I had Dave bring me up some paper towel, because I'm like a 5-year-old. I make a mess doing pretty much everything that I do. So, let's see. Yeah, you still will get this kit. And Christine Bell, I'll have Alexis check on you too, just to make sure. That's really cool. Yeah, well, Tina, and this is back to school. I mean, I will tell you guys, I don't teach you any differently than I taught graduate school. I don't water stuff down. I don't teach any differently. In fact, there are some of my former students in Soul Shift, and they're always like, dude, you push us harder now than you pushed us then. And I was getting a PhD. And I'm like, well, you're welcome. So this really is, I mean, if you never went to graduate school, this is what graduate school is like with me. I try to make it fun, but I'm also like, you're going to get this. I'm going to give it to you. Which is great. You know what I mean? You're ready for it. You don't need me to, simplify this for you. It's good to keep it kind of complex and deep, right? Yeah, so if you have questions about your tools, just let us know. I'll have Alexis check into it for you. So, I'll school you. Okay. Are you ready? Would you like to do our GOM? Can we do it 108 times? You ready? It'll only take us 2 minutes. You ready? Let's do it. Paulette's hubby is home. So if you have to sign off, I know it's after 6 o'clock, but if you can stay, we're just going to do the GOM mantra, and then I'm going to ring my wine glass bell, and we're complete tonight. You ready? Deep breath in. No, you are not babies. Honestly, I will tell you this. I've never had as wise or intelligent a group of students as I do now in Soul Shift. And that includes every PhD, MBA class I ever taught. I have never had a smarter, more on the ball, thoughtful, deep questions, connected, committed, ever. And I've taught since I was 22. So I bow to you. It's really true. Never. Not in my whole career. Ready? There we go. Remember, we're overcoming obstacles with each one. Ready? Imagine obstacles just being removed. Here we go. Gum. 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 Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And so the full version of that mantra, just so you know, is Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. And that is the full salutation to Ganesha, honoring him and thanking him for removing obstacles from your life. So Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. But Gam, 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 Gam is good enough. That's the seed mantra or the bija mantra, so that you have a smaller, easier, you can do it in your car, you can do it at work, you can do it in the bathroom at work, right? Oh, thanks, you guys. Let me think about a good mudra for Earth Star. Maybe I can put together a little meme for you. Let me think about a good mudra for that. That's a great idea. I like that. Sharon said it sounds like gone. Like, bye, roadblocks. I like that too. You've been saying it for 40 days. I love that, Heidi Harmon. That's so beautiful. Yeah, and Deva Pramal does a really beautiful version of that too. That's exactly it. Isn't that funny? So Crystal asked if she could get it written out, and then Teresa VK wrote it right underneath for you. Like, can I have this? Here it is. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so, so glad. So, darlings, with lip gloss to my wine glass, it was actually a really nice bell. I declare that my ginger ale is gone and session 1 of Soul Shift for May is complete. I like it. Yep. Gone, 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 gone. That's right. So lovely, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. It did feel like a really nice ending, didn't it? And thank you for letting me go over a little bit. I really appreciate it. I don't want to rush through stuff, and I felt like tonight was really important. And I think part of what tonight is not just saying embodiment's important, because everybody's going to tell you embodiment is important. Your yoga teacher is going to tell you embodiment is important. Your therapist is going to tell you that embodiment is important. The question is, how do you do it? And the way you do it is through these exercises, through the mantras, through connecting with some of these grounding oils and some of these rituals and ceremonies, and through kind of committing to releasing stuff that isn't in alignment with where you want to be, and acknowledging where you're spending time, and whether that's as intentional as it needs to be. And then understanding how to balance the elements through your manifestations. These are all ways into embodiment. And it is important, but it's also important to know, like, so what's the next step? What do I do? What do I do now? And so hopefully tonight you're walking away with some pretty concrete things you can do to set this in motion for yourself. Now, tomorrow night, full moon, Scorpio. God help us. At 6 p.m. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then we'll keep working with this mantra until we decide that we move on. See how it goes. Oh, thank you for that, Darlene. I'm really glad you liked tonight. I enjoyed tonight's class too, a whole bunch. I really did. And we love you guys too. Thank you, Team SG. We're super grateful. Alexis, as always, for being there. You gonna get me tomorrow? I'm gonna get you too. You can come on over and get Zoe too. It's tough living with a preteen with a Scorpio moon. It really is. But also she's fun and super mysterious, and she keeps me on my toes. So we'll look forward to seeing you guys soon. Like I said, I thought tonight was a really beautiful class. I'm finishing our Ishtar blend tomorrow. Like I said, so that'll be in the shop on Friday if you want it. If you don't want it, don't worry about it. Leave it for somebody else, because the way things are going in the world, I'm able to make half of the perfumes I was able to make before, because I can't get enough ingredients. But that's going to change because the world is starting to open up. In fact, I got a notification today. Are you ready for good news? These are getting ready to ship. Remember how I had my replica pendulums made? And he sent me one prototype, which I gave away, remember? I've been waiting 2 months for these to ship from India, and they're finally shipping. They're going to be here, I think, in 2 weeks. This is the first thing coming out of India. So I'm like, yes! Snake rings and pendulums are coming out of India. That felt like a big deal today, because almost nothing has come out of India in 2 months. So I'm celebrating that today. And they're so excited to send stuff. They're like, it's coming! Thank you for waiting for us! So, all right, you guys, have a great rest of your evening. I see you. Grateful for you. And we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.